Texas, State Incentivized Snitches. Welcome to Truth Duel Official. In this video, you will learn about the Orwellian policy enacted in none other than the Lone Star State, Texas. You'll want to stick around till the end of this video to learn how to avoid Big Brother from watching everything you do. But first, I am your host, Misinformation. If you like this channel, make sure to subscribe to receive more great policy analysis, misinformation analysis, and other sentiments and ramblings that please and amuse us. And become a truth dueler, because only you can slay misinformation at its source. Get our app on truthduel.com. Alright class, settle down because today we'll be reading Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale. We'll be reading George Orwell's 1984. We'll be reading both at the same time. Scratch that. Open a civics textbook, because today we're learning about Texas's new vigilante policy and what it has to do with abortion. To understand why this new law does what it does, we first need a brief history on Roe v. Wade. Decided by the Supreme Court in 1973, Roe v. Wade is an extension of the 14th Amendment, which protects citizens from state action against a right to privacy. That means, under this decision, abortion is classified as a right to privacy for the first trimester of pregnancy, and afterwards, more restrictions may be placed by individual states. So, how does the Texas law, called Senate Bill 8, legally defy Roe v. Wade? At its most basic, Senate Bill 8 transfers the power to punish people for abortions from the state to the citizens. In other words, vigilantism. Now, any Texan can don their V for Vendetta mask if they want to make $10,000. Sorry, did I forget to mention there's a $10,000 bounty? Be sure to cross off paying my rent by hunting down abortions on your 2021 bingo card. Senate Bill 8 does not explicitly ban abortions, but it limits legal abortions to the first sign of cardiac activity. This is usually at about 6 weeks of gestation, when small electrical flutters can be detected on an ultrasound. The practicality of the 6-week limit is that people only have about 2 weeks to get an abortion. The 6-week limit comes from the date of conception, but the date of pregnancy comes from the last menstrual cycle, typically missed about 4 weeks after conception. This law also assumes that people have regular menstrual cycles, but many don't, which is why over 85% of abortions in Texas prior to this law happened after the 6-week limit.
Texas's so-called heartbeat bill is one of the country's most restrictive, making no exceptions for cases of rape or incest, only for a medical emergency. And at 6 weeks, many women aren't even aware yet that they're pregnant. Pro-choice groups say that up to 90% of all abortions performed in Texas happen after 6 weeks, making the law a de facto ban on abortion in the state.
Alright, suppose you're able to get an abortion within that time frame. It's not illegal, so why are you getting sued? Remember, the 14th Amendment only prevents the state from infringing on the privacy of its citizens. It says nothing about citizens snitching on citizens. Where the law becomes Orwellian is that Texas is providing a monetary incentive for citizens to police each other in the form of that $10,000 bounty, all while the state keeps its own hands clean. However, the person receiving the abortion cannot be sued, but the people helping them can. This means suing doctors, family members, Uber drivers, clergy, activists, and others, whether they knew they were helping someone get an abortion or not. Furthermore, Section 171.208 of the law states that anyone who, quote, intends to engage in the conduct, end quote, can be sued. Yes, in Texas, it's literally a thought crime to consider helping someone get an abortion. Big Brother would be proud. And don't think that $10,000 is the maximum cost, because in court, the financial burden is placed on the defendant. Senate Bill 8 forbids defendants from being reimbursed for legal expenses, even if the defendant wins the case. In contrast, the plaintiff is reimbursed if they win the case, and the reimbursement plus the bounty both come from the defendant's pockets. So many costs. So, even though it's incredibly authoritarian, it's a clever way to circumvent the law, right? Which is why Senate Bill 8 is so dangerous. It sets the precedent that any state can choose to ignore the Supreme Court by legalizing vigilantism. For instance, this same tactic could be used to undermine the District of Columbia versus Heller, which upheld Second Amendment rights. States could put a bounty on anyone trying to buy a firearm, effectively criminalizing the right to bear arms. Another example is Obergefell versus Hodges, which allows gay couples to get married. Or Citizens versus the FCC, which allows media outlets to run political advertisements. If I were Big Brother Texas, I think I would ignore any laws that prevent children from hosting lemonade stands. Want to learn more about lemonade legal battles? Check out our video, Lemonade Legal Stand Overreach. You won't believe. In fact, our Truth Duel investigative reporters tell us this isn't even the first time this tactic has been used. Back in 1954, southern states, including Mississippi, Virginia, and Arkansas, wanted to oppose the Supreme Court's ruling on Brown versus the Board of Education. This was the decision that forbid racial segregation in schools. However, over 100 Southern politicians signed on to the massive resistance, a group of laws that used monetary power to undermine the Supreme Court and enforce racial segregation. These laws only allowed families that supported racial segregation to receive tuition grants and discontinued funding to any school that taught black and white children in the same classroom. I bet your high school history class didn't teach you that. Speaking of history, doesn't this law remind you of somebody? No, not Hitler and not Kim Jong-un. I'm talking about East Germany's secret police, the Stasi. The Stasi were infamous for turning citizens against each other using informants. People would be thrown into jail for nebulous reasons, only to find out after the Berlin Wall fell that it was a friend or a parent or a spouse that had snitched on them to the Stasi. This psychic demolition, as the Stasi called it, left lasting scars of paranoia, depression, and PTSD on the people affected. Imagine if that was you, sued because you said Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas in front of your militantly evangelical husband. Or maybe you did say Merry Christmas, but it was in front of your anarcho-paganist wife in Seattle. Boom! You're sued. These examples sound absurd because they are. No American should have to live in an authoritarian state where constitutional rights are undermined by monetary incentives and citizen policing. Come on, we've all seen Mean Girls. We should know how snitching and spreading rumors turn out.
How many of you have ever felt personally victimized by Regina George?
Misinformation wishes you well and reminds you to spy on your neighbors. Maybe you'll even get a bounty to pay your bail after they've charged you with stalking. P.S. Tell us your favorite English class dystopian novel down in the comments. Or tell us your least favorite. Whatever pleases and amuses you. Until next time, make sure to like our video, subscribe to our channel, and become a Truth Dueler. Or you'll end up on reality TV show Big Brother.
You do not tell me what to do.
Or what? Are you gonna hit me?
Do you want it?
I don't want
Because you're
to.
asking for it. You're dying for it. Get off my back.